How you doing, Patrick?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, there's a lot of different denominations. They all do it slightly different, okay? So basically, you just find out which one you want to go to, and basically, you just have to get that process done, okay? Because that way, that opens your heart to the living side from the dead world, okay? That's really what baptism is all about, basically, to forgive, giving you the power to have your sins forgiven. Okay? Now, the big thing is, and basically, Abraham Lincoln was an attorney, or not an attorney, he was a lawyer, a man of law. He basically knew the law, okay? The one thing that basically most people didn't fully understand is basically the emancipation that basically he brought about in 1862. That is right out of the Roman law system. To be emancipated, you had to basically be emancipated as a minor from your parents. Okay? And if you go in and read the definitions, and one of the key instruments in any court case that you need to have is a dictionary, and you have to know the meanings of the words that you're using and basically combat the meanings of the words that they're using. They will try and take your word and use a false interpretation, not your interpretation of the word, but their interpretation of the word. That's why you need to have a dictionary. You have to stand by that dictionary and understand what the words mean. I've been trying to tell you for years this. Most people don't understand that and don't know how powerful words are. It's brought out in numerous movies and everything else out here. People just don't know the words, what the meanings of the words are. And then they can't contradict when a judge or somebody like that is doing something different to them, or an attorney using a different meaning of the word for their benefit. You as the living, okay, you are the only officer that is in these commercial courts. They're not an officer. See, people don't even know what the word officer means. That's what I'm saying. You need to know what some of these words mean. Okay? An officer is distinguished from a person who holds a place of trust or profit. Now, that judge is holding a position for profit. He's got a bar license. He's placed in trust. Also, the county prosecutor, the clerk of the court, is holding a position of trust. They're not an officer. But you, as an elector of age, are an officer. See? People don't know what the meanings of words mean. You've got to start opening your eyes, and you've got to start breaking out the dictionary. You are a governmental officer, one of the highest governmental officers out here. You have the authority as an officer to issue a restraint order against that judge, against those people that are operating for profit. But you have to have clean hands. That means you have to do an emancipation of your devils out here. And devil, basically everybody understands what de facto means, I think, was two words, D-E and then facto. Well, what is devil? D-E and then V-I-L, vial, vessel, a debtor vessel or a dead vessel. That's what de facto or the devil means. Deval. This came about in the Roman time, the word devil. Okay, before that it was Satan. Okay? But the word devil really came about under the Roman because it's a Roman phrase. 2 words. All these clerks of the court, all these police officers, and everybody else, the judge, the prosecutor, they are all violating the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment because they have dead persons. They are a slave owner. And then they're operating in places of trust and profit in the process. You have to stand in and you have to do an emancipation of basically a parent, okay? I put those definitions up there before about emancipation of a minor, okay? To emancipate a minor, basically normally was when you turned 21 and basically you left your parents. Well, basically you did a, you came of age of discernment, okay? Discretion, age of discretion, and that's usually at the age of 14. It's very obvious in the Roman Catholic Church, but in several of the other churches, the Anglican Church, the Lutheran Church, some of these other churches, they have that in there also. The age of discretion, that is the age of choice. When a minor is entitled to make his own free choice of who he wants to be his guardian. And most people at that point in time took the church to be their guardian over their parents. They have not renounced that by doing a emancipation as a minor in the process. Also, the state turned around and got you to sign up with the Social Security account, and then it went into effect at the age of 18, and you never did an emancipation from it either. Abraham Lincoln knew the law. Emancipation is basically a Roman term that was created way back when in the Roman law system. That's what you need to do, is emancipate yourself away from. You have to do a separation of church and state. Not separating the church and the state into two individuals, but you have to separate yourself from the church and the state. Both. You are supposed to have your own church, your own set of beliefs. You don't get controlled by somebody else. And like I said for years, your God is your grounds of dominion. Your ecclesiastical estate. That's your grounds of dominion, your God, your belief in the process. I had Tom post another document up there that basically was the Emancipation EP to letter to a Vicar General, to the Iowa Vicar General. That same letter I sent to my federal Southern District of Iowa, federal senior judges also. I sent a copy of the letter in there along without some of the documents, like the baptismal certificate and a couple of the words in there. And I sent that off to the Inspector General of the Treasury and then also to the Justice Department Inspector General. We make ourselves known that we have emancipated ourselves from them, okay? And this is basically also covered by the Constitution, a self-enacting act. Because we have come of age, okay, the age of 21, to break the bonds, and the age of 25, the age of liberty, okay, the right to vote is at the age of 21. The age of 25 is when you are to be bondage free, to exert your own free beliefs and your right to full liberty over yourself and your bank, your private bank, estate entitlements. You stand in that regard, and these courts do not have any jurisdiction over you, and then you can turn around and take them into an ecclesiastical court with the senior judges and basically shut them down. You can file charges against them in the federal courts out here to where they have harmed you, because you are the officer. You are also a key witness. You need to read the word definition of the word witness. You will go into the witness protection program. How many times have we seen that with the U.S. Marshals in different movies out here? All these churches are basically constitutionally chartered corporations. They have a constitution, just like this fraudulent 1871 United States. The Constitution can either be written or unwritten. This secondary Constitution is unwritten. That's why you don't see it. And then they're operating by their own sets of laws, all these codes of law. That's under the second constitutionally chartered corporation, 1871 Chartered Corporation, Governmental Banking Corporation, using mortmain devil accounts, dead vessel accounts, or debtor vessel accounts. You don't go out there and antagonize them. Basically, you have to get yourself out of the system. You have to get your clean hands first, okay? Then you will be placed upon the green sheet or whatever it is out there, and basically then when the cop runs your name or whatever, basically they're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, have a nice day, get out of here, because I don't have jurisdiction over you any longer. Because you are not, I'm not to be acting as your guardian any longer. This secondary United States is founded upon the same principles, not of the Roman Catholic Church, but of the English Anglican Church. So I wish people would stop badgering the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, it's got some bad points, but it's not the one that the state, that the United States and all these states are operating in the background. It's the Anglican English Church. The Pope is sitting in the same, or the President is sitting in the same capacity as the Queen of England. in the Anglican Church. And then they're all in bed with the bankers. I wish you people would start waking up and start reading these documents that I put out here. I don't put them out for my health. I'm trying to put them out there for your benefit also. I know where I'm going, but unless you guys get the full understanding of it, you're going to go half-cocked, and you're going to get yourself deeper and deeper into trouble. I've highlighted and bolded different words in these letters and things, trying to get you people to break out the damn dictionary and look these things up. I've given you definitions of the words. I've bolded certain things in those definitions to make it a little easier for you to see things. If you can't see them, go down and get an eye checkup, because you must be blind as bats. A lot of this stuff has been in the movies. Hallmark basically does a good job around Christmas time, making the correlation of God being Santa Claus. Believing. You have to believe. You have to show love in the process. And you have to wash your hands of what is not right to go on with what is right. Right is might when you understand that phrase. These are not that complicated letters to get the understanding in the process. The emancipation that I did for all the devil's vessels, that one is for the banking side. Okay? And then basically the follow-up is this other one that basically we come in and now we emancipate ourselves, okay, from being under as having the state and the churches be our guardians over us. They will come in and basically when we turn these over to them, like I said before, per the 14th Amendment, Section 4, second sentence, the very end of the second sentence in Section 4, it talks that basically most all of the contracts that we have out here are going to be null and void. They're going to have to zero their books out. In other words, they're going to have to crucify them. Put a red X on it. I just happen to have a document. I'm not going to be posting this, but one guy from Romania that came over here, or, I think it was Romania, basically came over and he was getting naturalized. Well, basically they made a mistake on one, so they had to crucify that document. They drew a red cross up in the left-hand corner, crucifying that document. He said, yeah, here, I've got proof that basically that's what they do. And I said, I'd like to see a copy of it. So he sent me a copy of it. It was black and white, so it doesn't show the red cross, but basically I know the gist of it. So I've been talking about that for years too. But we do not do the crucifixion. They have to crucify the documents. I was trying to do it. before. We have to turn them over to them, make those vessels wards of the state, but naked wards of the state because they're naked asset wards. All the assets or credits that those slaves, our banking and religious slaves are holding, all those credits have to come back to the living because a dead fiction can really not hold any assets once it's been exposed. Now the churches are basically having wards, the churches and the state and the courts, they have a bunch of wards, but they have no assets. So basically they can't put them to work or anything, so they're no damn good to them. So therefore, they have to terminate all contracts that those entities, those persons, fraudulent slaves are holding, the contracts, because they're no longer, they don't have anything there. Not everybody out here in the government has been out here to screw you over. I wish you people would get off of that. Stay away from their codes. You operate under their codes and you're still claiming that you are a child of the state or of the church and that they're the guardian over you. You reference anything in like that and you are saying, hey, you're my guardian, you're my parent. I'm going to operate under your set of laws. You don't want to be free. You want to be controlled. And basically, you're going to get the living shit spanked out of you. You're going to get abused. You're going to have guardian and parental abuse. Just like in a lot of those movies out there about the kids in the homes and stuff like that. Peter Pan. Let me see. What the hell, that little girl, what's her name, that basically was in a home there. I mean, there's movies out here. People, open your damn eyes for change. I'm getting tired of doing all the damn talking and all the legwork. I sent these documents out the other day, so basically they'll have them this week. I'll be out of the system. It's a guarantee. They've got to take me out of the system. I know that this emancipation as a minor works because I had a neighbor that was a Jesuit priest. He went over and basically he was in South Korea. He came back, well, he had a death warrant on him while he was a priest over there in South Korea because basically he was sending some of his students down to Vietnam, and basically the South Koreans, they took no prisoners. They would interrogate, and they knew how to interrogate, and they basically killed them. They didn't take any prisoners. The Chinese had a death warrant out for basically anybody that came out of South Korea there, and especially for this one priest in the process. Well, he came back to the States. He got out of the church because basically you can do an emancipation of your, as a minor, away from the church also, even if you're in the religious order. Because the state or the churches do not have the right to control your beliefs. And that's basically what it came down to be. I watched another Hallmark movie about this Amish girl. And basically she was adopted by a set of parents that were Amish. She was originally not Amish, but her birthing mother gave her up. Later on, her birthing mother, she went back and found her birthing mother, and basically she was rich and she had a foundation. Well, her parents were being controlled by the elders of the Amish church not to be in contact with her. Finally, they broke away from the controls of the leaders of the church and went to her. The church does not have control over you when you come of age. You retain that right of discretion, free choice out here. Anytime after you reach that original age of 14. You choose not to have them have parental or guardian controls over you or authority over you. Just like your parents no longer have authority over you. You stand your ground against them. Why not start standing your ground against the state and the churches, these fraudulent, controlling manipulators that can't even comply with their own damn laws? And then they're in total violation. They are criminals out here. And basically it's criminals watching the other criminals. Okay. So you've got some documents there. Understand what they say. I wish that other people on all these talk shows and everything else, and even Chris, basically out here, Summers, would basically get his head out of his butt and start listening to what I'm saying. I've got proof, okay? But it's not readily available proof in the process. They backed away from us because they knew that we were standing our ground against them, and that they knew that if they pushed the wrong button, they could really have their asses handed to them. So they just let us be. It's the old sleeping dog scenario. Don't wake a dog. He might bite you. And that's what they tried to do. They hoped that we would just sort of go away. Well, I haven't gone away. I have continually tried to find out the real truth out here and not go along with all this other garbage that all these other people are constantly going out, and we've gone down all those roads before. Why are people still going down the same damn old roads? I can't understand this. Because they don't know how to read the definitions in the dictionaries. They don't understand words. They don't know what got them into this position out here in the first place. They don't want to believe that somebody like Abraham Lincoln might have been out here trying to do some good for us. They don't want to believe that George Washington basically wasn't going to sign the Constitution until he was assured that basically the people had their ecclesiastical state rights, protected rights, to where they stood over the Constitution, not under it. We, the people, have never stood under the Constitution. We've always stood over the Constitution. The Constitution is only for a corporation. We are not a corporation. We're not a resident, and we're not an inhabitant of a corporation. We're not a domestic. We are a domicile within the boundaries of the jurisdiction out here, but that does not make us a slave to them. When we stand our ground and we make our free choice, and we do not accept them as our guardian or our parent. We stand by our God, our grounds of dominion, our ecclesiastical estate. We don't need to go and do all this other stuff at the county recorders and basically like the guy that was on Angela Stark's show here this last week, Keith Livingway or whatever his name. I don't know whether that was the one or basically whatever his name was. Santos, basically he's got the same scenario here that I'm talking about right now. Applies down there in Australia just as well as here in America. I wish you people would get this word out to these guys and say, hey, I'm tired of listening to your stuff. You better listen to this guy. Or just read his damn documents. I don't give a shit. It's up to you people. It's not up to me any longer. I know where I'm at. The documents are here. You should be able to finish these all up and basically get them out the door. Now, I sent the initial one that I had. I made up 10 of those ecclesiastical Emancipation proclamations about my slaves, made 10 copies of those up. I sent a copy of those into the Kansas City, to the Philadelphia finance centers. I sent one into the IRS. I sent one into the Social Security Inspector General. I sent one into the Chief Judge. I sent, where the hell else did I send it? Shit. Pretty much whatever I had listed there before. I sent 6 of those out, and then I sent a copy of that for my banking slaves, along with this other letter that I had Tom post up there about going to the Vicar General. I sent a copy of the banking slaves also to the Vicar General. I sent a copy of this item into the federal senior federal judges there in Southern District of Iowa. And then, like I said, I sent one copy into the Treasury Department Inspector General, and also to the Justice Department Inspector General. So they've been notified, okay? Now, it's their obligation to get it up to the Attorney General or to the Secretary of the Treasury. Notice to agent is notice to principal. I expect either the Chief Judge or the senior judges to be getting in touch with the U.S. Marshals to place me under the Witness Protection Program. In other words, take me out of their damn guardian and parent controls. Because I can come out now and be a witness to every one of these criminals out here in this system. And basically, by renouncing their controls and authority, Now I stand as an officer over them, and I can issue that or tell that judge or that sheriff next time I see him and I'm in a court scenario, I can have him arrest that judge. And basically, if he don't do it, I will contact the U.S. Marshals and have them arrest the whole shooting match. And then call in the FBI to investigate the banking frauds that they're operating under. We have the power. You don't use it in a harming way, but you have the authority to enforce it when needed as a right of self-protection. That is your loaded gun. You operate by the law, the real law. Because all these other laws out here are criminal laws, and they're the criminals, and it's the laws of the criminals. That's the laws that you're dealing with. So why would you want to operate with a set of criminal laws? Just like Al Capone had a set of laws that he lived by. You want to operate by his set of laws, or do you want to operate by the real laws, the just laws? Same scenario. Okay. Now, open it up for questions.
Hi, Patrick. It's Mary.
Yes.
I've heard you say about...
Speak up a little. Speak up a little.
Okay. I've heard you say that you were giving all those notices, state attorney general, et cetera, and you sent out all those letters. Why did you change your mind? Because I thought we were going to test one person at a time to see what the results were.
Why?
Well, that is one person at a time.
Yeah.
God damn.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're trying to say there.
All right. Not too long ago, you said only send out one letter at a time to see what the results would be. Otherwise, if we sent everybody letters to this office and that office, we might not understand. I thought it was more of a learning process to send.
Yeah, and we learned, okay? And what we were doing at that point in time, we learned a hell of a lot, that we didn't get the response that we needed. So there was something entirely missing, and that was the Emancipation Proclamation. We had to emancipate, we had to free our slaves, and then we also had to free ourselves from the controls of the church and the state.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, now when we have that, basically now all we have to do is notify everybody. Now as soon as you've notified them, they can't touch you any longer.
I see. All right, now I understand the reasoning. Thank you, Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, we don't beat around the bush any longer. We've got the answer. And it was sitting right there staring us right in the face because I don't know how many people have badmouthed the damn 14th Amendment. That's because they didn't read and understand the 14th Amendment. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments are valid amendments, okay? The Supreme Court was not under the control of the 1871 bankers Constitution yet. Even all the way up till Garfield's time, the Supreme Court was not under the damn bankers' control. Really, the court system didn't fall under the bankers' control until 1938 under Roosevelt. That's when that process started taking place. Now, if any one of those three amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, would have been invalid, the Supreme Court would have done away with them, just like they did away with the original 13th Amendment. Well, the original 13th Amendment was initiated by the bankers back in 1812 to try and take our titles of nobility away from us. The living person, people. That's what that original 13th Amendment was all about. It wasn't about the attorneys or anything like that. They already had them under control. The esquires, they were already called out in the Constitution. But the bankers were trying to take our titles of nobility away from us, the people. And see, that's what Abraham Lincoln sort of knew about, because basically in 1851, Mulville, or whoever I think it was, wrote the book Moby Dick about how the bankers were going to come after the white man in this country. They already had pretty much the red man and the black man under their controls. But see, Lincoln won up them by freeing all the slaves and all the indentured servants with the 13th Amendment. And then put protections in place in the 14th Amendment, and then redid the 15th Amendment so that basically if anybody did go into jail on debtor charges or anything like that, the states could not prevent them from still having their right to vote, which is one of the things that these criminal courts try and use against you, is by taking your right of vote away from you if you have a felony or whatever. Just like they try to take your right of gun control away from you. They can't. You do your emancipation from them, and then basically they have no control over you. You can have as many guns as you want. You break free of their religion, their belief system, believing that they're God Almighty, and you go to your God. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Patrick, I've done the document like you specified, and I think right now that you're talking about the 10 people that you've actually sent the letters out to, I've already put 8 of them in here before the call was done. But now my only question is, because I got the Philadelphia, the United States Courthouse Chief Judge, the Vicar General, the Ohio Attorney General, the Social Security Administration, the U.S. Department of Justice, Treasury Inspector General, the USPS Office of Inspector General. Which are the other ones do I need? Is it just basically the senior judges?
You need to get one into the senior judge and one into the Vicar General for your diocese. You could also send one into the Vicar General and the Archdiocese of New York. If you want to, you could send one into the U.S. Marshals or to the FBI. for your federal district. You can send one into the Secret Service if you want to. Okay? Oh, let them all know. Send one into your local court. Okay? County attorney.
Okay.
Take them on notice. Okay? It's up to you. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh my God.
Patrick.
Yes, speak up.
Do those people you're sending it to need to have any reference citations at all?
You got it.
Other than what you're saying in the letter, do they need to see a citation to something somewhere?
What citation?
Some sort of. That's what I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you. What citation you think I'm missing there? You're saying a citation. What?
14th Amendment,
citation?
right?
Huh?
The 14th Amendment.
I've got a reference, don't I?
Well, there's many references, I guess, but we don't need to put the references in then, right? Just leave it the way you have it.
13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, if you want to put those down. I've got the 14th Amendment basically referenced in there.
Right.
Look at the attachments.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a copy of. I'm putting a copy of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment in there with the letter. Okay.
Oh, you're sending
I'm putting a copy of.
Okay.
Huh?
Understand. I understand now.
See, you got to read what attachments I put along with it. I put a copy and several of them of the 5-page definition of federal means we the people document that I have out there that has a whole bunch of definitions in it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Patrick.
Now.
Should I include a copy in my documents as to the statutes at large?
No. You just need to put what I referenced. Okay? I got the references down there.
Perfect.
These people in their law, in their offices, their official office, they're supposed to know the law. I'm just giving them a little guidance in some of the laws, and then I've highlighted the words and different things in there so that they can understand them, like you're supposed to be able to read the damn things and understand the words too. But half you don't read the damn things and you just stick a copy of it in there and you never read all the definitions.
Okay, Patrick, well, I guess where I was kind of still wondering, you're sending, or I'm sending, a legal document. I'm making an accusation and expecting a answer, just like a judge would look at the document. Is that what you're really getting at with your document? It's a legal document.
You are doing a de jure document out here. You're making your discretion. You're deciding your choice. This is my choice. Okay? Here's my choice. Here's my signature. I choose not to be under your fucking system.
Understand.
Okay.
Where you're going with this. Yeah. I agree with you, too. It's a way to do it.
It's the only way to do it.
Well,
You
why
don't
hasn't
take
it
this
been
and
done?
get a notary or anything like that. You go and get a notary, and basically you're getting right underneath their system. You stand over the Constitution. I'm standing over the Constitution. It says nothing about needing a notary. Only when you're under the Constitution does it say you need a notary.
Understand.
Okay? So you've got to know where you stand. That's the problem. Nobody knows who they are, what power they had, where their power is at. It's over the Constitution. It's not under the Constitution.
Well, I thought the Constitution was written for the federal government to operate under.
No, it was written for the government, the national government, to operate. The national and then the state governments. But it was given, that charter was given to them by the people, by the sovereignty of the land, the people.
Then shouldn't we be in treaty with the government? Since we're sovereign,
We have
sovereign
a
to sovereign.
treaty out here. An independent treaty called the Declaration of Independence.
Well, I think that's kind of retaliatory.
No, it's not retaliatory. It is basically an international treaty of independence. And see, that's what basically the ecclesiastical societies and everything, like George Washington, basically understood. The founding fathers understood this. The people nowadays don't understand shit.
Well, what I don't understand, you might be able to answer the question. What was the problems with all the what were the ones before the Constitution? Confederation,
the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah, what was wrong with those?
Because basically the
couple,
Articles of Confederation needed almost 100% agreement before they could do anything. Which was an impossibility.
Well, the Declaration, like you said, was an Emancipation Declaration.
For the people.
That's what it was.
It wasn't for setting up no government. It was for setting up the government of the people on an individual basis. Freeing the people from the governments, from the chartered governments. That's really what that was all about, the Declaration of Independence. The Articles of Confederation was basically a grouping together of the states, okay, out here, but it had to be almost 100% agreement, and they couldn't get anything done. That's what was wrong with the Continental, why they didn't get any funding to support Washington and everything during the Revolutionary War. The Articles of Confederation stunk. And then even after that, the constitutional government that we had out here of having 3/4 or whatever, 2/3 of the legislatures, they couldn't get any damn agreement. That's why they set up the Department of the Treasury, because they couldn't get the Congress to go in and basically authorize the releasing of the funds from the Treasury out here to set up a national currency. So they set up the Department of the Treasury, another sub-charter organization, to be able to deal with private bankers so that the private bankers could set up a monetary system for the people of the country.
That's where the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue was brought into action, correct?
He was not brought into action until 1913, okay? Under the tariff tax. He was brought in under the tariff tax in 1913. income tax, which was a means to tax the foreign Federal Reserve money. But the initial Department of the Treasury was set up back in late 1700s for the First National Bank that was created. And that was done by Hamilton. Hamilton was a traitor to the country in a way. Because he circumvented, basically, and they did not force Congress to basically fulfill their obligation. Like what Andrew Jackson came in and tried to do. When you look at the banking system and follow how it's played out, you'll learn a lot more than all this other garbage that people have been listening to out here. And you can follow all the different statutes at large and do word searches in there and find out how this progression basically played out over the years. And it's taken me a hell of a long time to get all this shit pulled together. Any other questions, comments?
Patrick, each one of those places that you sent your letters off to, you just sent it certified mail?
Yes, I sent them all certified mail.
Okay.
So I made 10 individual emancipation documents, each with their own certified mail number on them.
Okay. Well, I did get mine out to Kansas, and I did get mine out to Philadelphia this week, but I haven't done all the rest of those, all the rest of the list.
Yes, and you've got to make sure you use the new letter when you go to like the senior judges or to the vicar generals, because you've got to have that new wording on there. See, basically there's two sides to every coin. You've got the back side, which is the world of the dead, and you've got the front side, which is the world of the living. And you've got to emancipate yourself both in the world of the living and also in the world of the dead.
Okay.
Okay, Patrick, I was off on the date, but the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue was created in 1862 to collect income taxes to pay for the war, which were discontinued or repealed 10 years later. So I knew that there was a commercial and internal revenue, not the IRS. IRS didn't come in until 1913, as you said, actually 1909 with the corporate income tax. So I understand what you're saying, though.
The income tax really didn't come into play until it was a add-on in the tariff tax of 1913, okay? They had a revenue department out here before, okay? Basically internal revenue between the states and different things for interstate commerce, okay? Also going along with the national commerce, okay? That's not what I'm talking about when we're dealing with the IRS, okay? The IRS that we're talking about is basically the internal IRS that basically they're using the dead accounts out here in the process under income tax, okay? And income tax is not owed by us. It's owed by the fictions and basically by the corporations. And it's using that internal debtor money system that's coming out of the Federal Reserve and basically using our reserve funds, we the people's reserve funds, because those are we the people's reserve banks.
Okay, here's the question I have for you then. Who decided we have credits and when did it start? And we have credits in the Treasury. We
have assets in the Treasury, okay? We own the land. The people own the land. The people are the only ones that can own the land. The corporations and the government can't own shit. It's got to be in a living person's name. That is a law that is from the very get-go in the Bible. If you don't believe that, you won't believe any of this other.
No. The Constitution recognizes the Bible. So I agree with you. I don't know the law that says that, but I know it's true.
It's at the very beginning. Adam, I give this place to you, dominion over it all. Didn't say, Adam, I give you dominion over this, and I give the corporations and the governments dominion over this shit over here. Did it?
Right.
No, only the living can own anything. A fiction can't own shit.
Okay, back to the credits. When did the credits start that we can get?
The credits started basically when they started not allowing gold and silver to be utilized any longer.
June 5th, 1933.
The Treasury belonged to the people. That is documented in the first volume of the Statutes of Large. Basically, if you got into debt and the court did not go and process a warrant to the secretary or to the treasurer of the Treasury to do a draw against the Treasury in your name, then you had to turn around and petition yourself. You had to go to the Secretary of the Treasury and do your own petition to him and request to have that debt set off. Now, if you needed you wanted to borrow some money from the Treasury, you turned around and you basically got in touch with your two state senators, and they went in and they got with the President pro tem of the Senate, and they passed a private law to do a draw against the Treasury. Learn how the system really functioned.
I want to read that myself. Where's that located?
You're not going to find this shit. That's the problem, mister. You have to read between the lines. That's been the downfall of this whole damn thing, is because people can't read between the lines and see what these things really are saying. Nowhere is it going to come right out and tell you that exact thing, but basically it's out there. We've seen private laws. Well, how does a private law get initiated? It only needs to be passed by the Senate. A tribunal ruling. The President pro tem don't even need to vote if you've got both of your state senators in your back pocket. But see, most of the common people never knew that. And very few of the upper level people also didn't know it after going through the ages. They were never taught that. It was never totally out there. You had to read between the lines to find this stuff. And in a lot of cases, it's the only way things can work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. This country would have fallen apart from the get-go if this wasn't in place that way. The national government, and see, that is a national state, Washington, D.C., that 10-mile square, that is a separate state. There's 50 territorial states out here, but there's roughly about 300 million e-states out here. Ecclesiastical states. Probably not that many because basically they're only supposed to be under a family head in the ecclesiastical society. The women were supposed to be under the men, and the children were supposed to be under the men until they turned 21, or until the father gave up the daughter into another tribe or another ecclesiastical society. But see, you people don't even know that type shit. I've talked about this on the calls for about the last month and a half. The same scenario was reiterated by the Pope in Pennsylvania there, telling the people, basically the prisoners in Pennsylvania there, that their remedy was to go to the prison chapel to get baptized. That is your living document. It's the baptismal certificate. That's the only document that you have that proves you're alive, because they can give out any of these other documents to a dead man or to a fiction.
Does the First Holy Communion certificate have any...
There was another 7-year contract. See, if you go into one of the definitions about bishops, okay, in one of them, it talks about that basically they had jurisdiction over the parishioner under 3 7-year contracts. So 7 years normally was when you got communion. So that was the end of your first 7-year contract, and then you signed up with another 7-year contract, and then you had that went until basically you got confirmed, and then basically from confirmation until you turned 21, which at that point in time you were supposed to have done your emancipation from your parents at the age of 21, but you could have done it at the age of 14. Jesus could have done this emancipation when he was 12, but he didn't get emancipated until he was 33 years of age. And he didn't get baptized until basically he was 30 years or 31 or whatever years of age. Then he started learning the law. And then he started laying the path out. And that was the same damn path that I tried to follow in this whole damn process, was what he laid out. Going through his parables and everything, trying to find out what he was talking about. And it was all about banking and the fraudulent controls that were out here by the religion, by the church and state. But see, the Roman Empire was basically the court of the ecclesiastical court that was over the system. The senior judges that we have now.
Now this,
You might say the
7
pilot was
years.
a senior judge.
The 7 years only applied to before you were 21, correct?
3 7-year periods. And basically, the old, out of the Old Testament, basically, a contract was for 7 years. And then you had to sign a new contract. So you had 3 7-year contracts that you had to go through. And the Catholic Church basically breaks that down very uniquely in their process.
Well, how are they valid today, many decades later?
It's still there. You haven't done, basically in confirmation, you are doing a confirming that the church is your guardian. What did the baptismal certificate do? It placed the church as a guardian over you also. That you have to do your emancipation when you come of age of free choice, when you're over the age of roughly 14. You have the right to choose who your guardian's going to be. And see, when you did not renounce them as being your guardians, you're still stuck with them today, even though you might be 67 years old like I am. But I've renounced them as being my parent or my guardian. I don't need them telling me I need to have that I can't be out driving if I'm under over 8.0 on the blow scale. I know I'm not supposed to be out driving. I don't need them telling me. So they have no jurisdiction over me. Only when I cause harm can they intervene, when I have breached the peace.
I have a question.
Okay, ask it to speak up.
So I'm looking at the when there's slave ownership emancipation proclamation. Is it okay if you don't have those slaves to set free? Do you follow what I mean?
If you don't have all the EINs, no, you don't need to list them.
Okay.
But if you have any EINs or anything like that out there, and see, this is not under the creditors, secured party creditors scenario, but even there, if you basically did set anything up like a UCC1 or something like that, you might want to list those out there because you probably did those wrong and you were setting up a fiction to be the secured party creditor.
I see. So it's not really necessary to have all those EINs then, or
no,
is it?
No. In fact, it's best off not to have them now. We thought we needed them. Okay, that's what I kept going through, and basically when I kept finding out, hey, we're not getting anywhere with these. What's wrong? Well, turn to find out, basically, they've been using them as basically slaves, and that's what by turning around and constantly getting IRS bills against those, I said, hey, basically, I'm going to turn those all in. Said they're not me. Basically, I owe nothing, okay? As to living, I owe nothing in this country. Mm-hmm. The country owes me for the usage of my inheritance out here.
One year sees that.
What?
I see that. I comprehend what one they're saying.
Okay.
Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I received a form, a 1099 INT from the IRS, and it says here payer's federal identification number. Would that possibly be my SESTQ account?
No.
Number?
You basically, that is a slave. You've got to free him. You've got to add that one to this emancipation document, and basically you have to free that, turn that over to the finance center and also over to the IRS. Say, here, he belongs to you. He's a ward of yours now. He's not mine any longer. I freed him. Now, one of the other things that I got thinking about, basically, I was reading a document about the banking out here, about the bank accounts. You go and deposit your money into the bank. When the check goes into the bank, you write a check out, okay? It's not going against what you deposited into the bank. It's going against the insurance policy, that $250,000 insurance policy with the FDIC, the credits that are there, okay? That is $250,000 of your credits that are there. Now, the bank is putting a claim against those credits and sending those out to make the payment for that check. The funds that you deposited eventually are going to be abandoned. You just don't know that. Now, you get a receipt. What do? You turn around and there's got to be a place in the FDIC, the Federal Depository Insurance Division out there, that we can turn around and take those receipts and do a set-off against that $250,000 that is there. That's where we need to send our receipts into, is to the FDIC.
So the payer's federal identification number is for the Internal Revenue use only.
No, it's for a slave, okay? It's for a slave, a dead man, a mortmain person. You have to free that slave and turn him over to the state, to the Kansas City or the Philadelphia Finance Center, or to the IRS, or all the above, to the courts. Basically, now they are the guardians or the wardens over those slaves. But those slaves now have no assets, because since you freed them, all the credits that they're holding have to come back to you. You owe no taxes. If you're the master of the household, and we are, and this country is our household, we're the masters over it, we owe no taxes. But we're not going to let our credits or our assets be utilized by them for their profit and for their higher and gain and beneficial profits any longer. We're taking our funds away from them, and now they're going to start having to do their job the right way, or else they ain't going to get paid, period. And we'll throw them in jail as the bad slave, just like the parables that Jesus talked about 2,000 years ago. Read some of those parables. See the correlation of how they apply right today.
Well, I got a question for you, Patrick.
Yeah.
So what federal employees don't have a Social Security number of the de jure government?
Probably the only ones that don't have might be those senior judges. See, all the other federal employees, they're inhabitants or residents of the government. They have to have that number. But that does not prevent them from going out there and protecting us when we call upon them in the right capacity, to where we stand over them. They're still the public servant, and we are basically the masters over the public servants. But we're no longer a ward or under parental guardian or parental wardship. We're free. Just like what the Declaration said we were supposed to be. But you have to make yourself that way. It's not an automatic turn on the light and that's it. You have to work for it. You have to believe what you're doing when you do this, that you have the right and the authority to do this. And I've tried to give you the proof that you do have that authority and right. It's not that complicated, people. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Anybody else?
I guess not, Patrick. It's been a very good call.
Call tonight, then.
And thank you. Well,
Okay.
you really helped sum it up for us. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good night.
Patrick. Thank you.